What you can't see can hurt you. It can hurt your budget and your deadline. Generative video has a really hard time with introducing elements into an existing action. This isn't about characters walking into the frame or objects being added to a scene under their own power. No, this is about one element delivering another that was not in the shot to begin with. It is infinitely easier to have an ice dragon breathe snow cones down on a village made of DNA molecules than to have a man pull out a letter from his coat pocket. And that is exactly what we are going to look at today.
Gentlemen, I have the evidence right here. Step aside, press. Move back.
Dr. Harlan, what is in the document?
I have this document, which proves everything you need to know. Dr. Harlan, over here.
Is this the original?
This is quite a busy shot. There were a lot of moving parts, but the real challenge was getting the character's arm and hand to go inside of his jacket and pull out an appropriately sized letter. My line art was great. It was a little too detailed, and my character has a Ryan Reynolds vibe, but all was good. The last two boards needed to demonstrate that actual action. You can see on the initial boards the action can be inferred, but we needed it to be explicit. The language models are great at inferring text. For instance, the man pulls a letter from his inside coat pocket. We can all envision what that might look like. Well, so can the generative model, but when the model envisions the scenario, it lacks physical-based common sense. Things like the hand must reach under the coat to get the letter. And you wouldn't have a poster-sized letter in your inner coat pocket. I needed the storyboard panels to be more explicit. I modified the panels in Photoshop to get Dr. Harlan's arm up to his chest sooner, and then that key moment with his hand under his jacket. I did a few iterations, you can see the progress here, and the final board here. I did move his start position, but this was just to align with my previous shot and had nothing to do with the letter. The new storyboard panels worked, but the size of the letter was still a problem. I tried adding a reference image of a certified letter. What can I say? The model nailed it. Nobody's fault but mine. The pipeline was working. I was getting decent generations, and finally ended up getting the shot that I was after. It was far from perfect. The spelling on the police SUVs jumbled, but stuff like that could be fixed in post or even using video in painting. But at this point, I was ready to move on. I'm going to pause here because I want to show you what the Gen model did. Focus on the midsection of the jacket. Notice on the storyboard that I didn't fix the right side of the jacket. The jacket is being pulled almost as if it was buttoned. That is because I pulled from this image. This iteration is a great study because you can see it copied the storyboard panel perfectly. This was not the model's fault. It did exactly what I told it to do. Switching gears slightly, we have a similar problem when dealing with vehicles. Having a character get in and out of a car is even more challenging than pulling a letter out of a coat. With the vehicles, we are adding another dimension of left and right, or driver's side and passenger side, and front seat and back seat. The original intent was to have the SUVs pull up and Dr. Harlan would step out. That proved to be a bit too complex. Here is one of the panels I tested with. If you look at the SUV doors, you can see panel 1 is okay, but the rest of the panels get lost. The next iteration was to frame up the front of the SUV. This worked much better, but only because less could go wrong. Ultimately, I ended up with this for my final storyboard. Notice the similarities to the letter in the coat pocket. We are explicitly showing his exit from the car door and making sure his hand is in contact with the closing door in panel 3. Here is my final board, and here is the shot I went with. It is a close match to the storyboard, could even say identical, and that was the problem. The background was mostly empty, left to interpretation. There was nothing wrong with the background, but it didn't match the previous shot, or the entire environment for that matter. However, instead of regenerating more shots, I tried something different. I took a frame from the generated video and then generated an image with a different background, essentially style. I used that image, that newly generated image, as a reference to restyle the video using Kling.ai. This worked amazingly well, taking the footage from this to this. And here is the final shot.